When you think of the world's richest people, who comes to mind? Tech billionaires, oil tycoons, maybe some Wall Street legends. But there's one name from history that makes all of them look like they replaying for pocket change. That name is Mansa Musa. He wasn't just the richest king of his time or the wealthiest African ruler. He was, by all historical accounts, the richest human being to have ever lived. And what makes his story truly mind-blowing is this. His wealth wasn't hidden away in spreadsheets or offshore bank accounts. It was so vast, so real, that when he decided to spend some of it, he literally broke entire economies. Mansa Musa ruled the Mali Empire in the early 1300s. Back then, West Africa was sitting on a resource more valuable than armies or castles: gold. The region controlled what historians believe was nearly half of the entire world's gold supply. And Mansa Musa wasn't just sitting on the mines. He controlled the trade routes, the taxes, and the flow of this precious metal across an empire larger than most of modern Europe. But true power isn't just about what you own. It's about how the world reacts when you make a move. In 1324, Mansa Musa decided to make the Hajj, the great pilgrimage to Mecca. What should have been a sacred, personal journey turned into one of the most astonishing economic events in history. He didn't travel light. Imagine a procession stretching for miles. Thousands of soldiers, officials, and servants. And behind them, a train of camels, each one loaded down with pure, solid gold. We're talking tons of it. As his caravan made its way across North Africa and the Middle East, Mansa Musa gave his gold away. He showered it on the poor, on local merchants, on city rulers. When he arrived in Cairo, one of the busiest trade hubs on earth, he continued his incredible generosity. But then, something completely unexpected happened. The city was so flooded with gold that the metal itself started to lose its value. The market was saturated. Prices for everyday goods shot up. Inflation spiraled out of control. The entire local economy destabilized. According to historical records, it took Cairo's economy more than a decade to recover from Mansa Musa simply passing through. Think about that. His wealth was so extreme that he didn't conquer cities with an army. He accidentally crashed their economies just by spending his money. This journey forced the world to finally pay attention to West Africa. European mapmakers began drawing the Kingdom of Mali on their charts, often marking it with illustrations of a king holding a golden orb. Scholars across the world wrote about a land so rich that its ruler spending could bend global markets. For the first time, this part of Africa wasn't seen as some distant, unknown territory. It was recognized as an essential player in the global economy. But Mansa Musa wasn't just a man who liked to spend. He was a strategic visionary. He took his immense wealth and invested it back into his empire. He funded education, architecture, and religion on a massive scale. He built magnificent mosques, universities, and libraries. The city of Timbuktu was transformed into one of the most important intellectual centers in the world, attracting scholars, poets, and scientists from across Africa and the Middle East. This is where the story gets really interesting. Mansa Musa understood that true influence wasn't just about gold. It was about knowledge. He turned his financial capital into cultural capital. His empire wasn't built on luck. It was built on systems: control of resources, management of trade, stable governance, and a deep understanding that money without structure is temporary. And yet, there's a deeper, more sobering lesson here. Mansa Musa's wealth was real, but it was also fragile. After his death, the Mali Empire slowly began to decline. Internal conflicts weakened it from within. New trade routes emerged, bypassing the old paths. Rival powers rose. The gold that had once flowed so freely began to move elsewhere. Without strong, consistent leadership, the system that had sustained this incredible wealth eventually weakened and crumbled. The same riches that made Mali seem unstoppable eventually faded into history. This is the part of the story that we often miss. Extreme wealth does not guarantee permanence. Power depends on the systems that support it, not just the riches themselves. Even the richest man in history couldn't freeze time. Today, Mansa Musa's name often pops up as a fun fact, a trivia question, or even a meme. But his story is so much more than that. It's a powerful lesson in how money shapes perception, builds empires, and influences the world. It shows us how wealth can elevate a civilization to unimaginable heights, destabilize markets on a whim, and still disappear if the structures protecting it are allowed to decay. Mansa Musa didn't just prove how rich one person could be. He proved how money itself is a force that can reshape the world. And that's why his story is still so relevant. Because even now, the global economy still bends around resources, trade routes, and the people who control them. The names may have changed, the currencies are different, but the fundamental rules of power remain the same. If this story changed the way you think about wealth, history, and power, make sure you subscribe to Legacy of Money. Because the greatest financial lessons weren't written in textbooks. They were written in the annals of history, long before modern banks ever existed. Thanks for watching.